Hi everyone, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and today I'm going to be playing the vehicle that cost me 700,000 free experience. Well, just shy of that. I decided to put in a bid of 696969 for absolutely, utterly no reason, right? You think that kind of like 10,000 free experience that I saved really would have made a difference, or like the 4,500 or something like that? Not really. This vehicle recently went in the Under the Hammer auction, and on the European server, I believe the minimum bid that anyone managed to pick one of these up was for about 500 to maybe 530,000 free experience. It's the first time that Wargaming have ever sold a tank on PC for free experience, which kind of opens up the floodgates as to what that kind of means for the future of, should you try and save up as much free experience as you can? Should you dump it on trying to actually use it how most people want to, making your tier 9 tanks playable, or should you try and hoard it so that you can be able to drop it on rare and exclusive tanks such as this? The tank in question is the Object 268 version 5, and I have to say it's probably one of my favorite tank destroyers in the game, at least now. But then again, I usually kind of get that when I play any kind of new tank. Well, not all of them, some of them, this one especially. And that's because it's really blurring the lines between heavy tank and tank destroyer. More on that in a second. I want to talk about the free experience and the economics of this vehicle now we know that exactly how much that it went for. A terrible shot there. By the way, I played this game late at night. I think it was about 1 a.m. or 1:30 in the morning after a 6-7 hour session, including some ranked of that day, and I was exhausted. Nevertheless, you're going to get to see, even with tired QuickyBaby playing, what we're able to achieve with this tank, and that is fat claps. I want to talk about the economics before I talk about the tank, and now that I've played about 20, 30, 40, 50 games in it, whatever I've played so far, how I feel about the vehicle. So, the amount of free experience that people spent on this, if you think about the minimum price, which was roughly about 500,000 that people bid on it, to be able to get that amount of gold, if you were to convert, you would have to spend 20,000 gold at full price, i.e. when you're getting 25 free experience for 1 gold. Now, 20,000 gold is actually less than I believe the Qilin, the WZ-111-5A went for. And so when you think about it, it's bizarre to me that a brand new tank like the Object 268 version 5, just a big alpha into the back of a Type 4 heavy turret, that was 1,345 damage picked up there. That was a big one. When you think that if you were to spend the gold to convert the free experience, that people ended up paying more for the Qilin, which you can buy inside a tech tree, than you were to convert that free experience and then to bid on this tank, remains a little bit of a mystery. I honestly think that the competitive bid actually kind of kept the auction price a little bit lower on this vehicle, because a lot of people thought, well, this is how much free experience I have, and I expect that a lot of people were caught out. Maybe in future auctions, when people realize, oh, Wargaming are going to start selling well, they're not going to start selling free experience, they're going to start selling more tanks for free experience, possibly. The people are going to save it up, and people will definitely have millions of free experience ready for the next black market, at least some of them. I'm quite thankful that Wargaming actually put a competitive bid on this, otherwise I would have definitely spent all of the free experience that I had, because that's always something that I can grind more of, whereas with gold, you don't really want to dump your whole treasury on a vehicle, unless that vehicle really means everything to you, I guess. One thing I should mention as well is that if you were able to have some free experience that you convert at the 40 to 1 gold rate, then this vehicle would have cost 17,500 gold, which for a tier 10 tank that doesn't make good credits, but has very novel gameplay, that's kind of a bit of a steal, at least with regards to some people spending 25 or 40,000 gold, I think, on the Type 59 gold, which is always just absolutely bizarre when that thing goes. Alright, let's talk about the Object 268 version 5. I've talked about it in my preview video, so if you want to know the full story of that tank, then I'd thoroughly recommend to go there. All you really need to know about this vehicle, however, if you want the quick guide, now that I've played more games in it, is that it blurs the line between a heavy tank and a tank destroyer, which means that it can be very influential in the battles. I matched up against a Griller. Where do you think a Griller is going to go? A Griller is pretty much going to be at the back of the map, or trying to be in some kind of a sniper location. Well, actually, we can see that the Griller is located at the C5 area. A Gorilla doesn't have the flexibility, or more importantly, the armor layout, to be able to be aggressive. Now, one thing I'd like to highlight with this tank, you could see my frustration at my fatigue there, that I missed the shell on that Conqueror. That was completely my fault. I should have fired a little bit earlier, or I should have reacted a little bit quicker to the Conqueror pulling back around the corner. The fact that this tank has pseudo armor means that you can actually play it like a heavy tank. I've rushed forwards into this position, I've buffed up the speed of this thing with good cruise skills and also with a turbo on this tank to be able to get forwards and now really be a bit like a T-30 with regards to the alpha damage. While this thing does have pretty much the same DPM as a T-30, it's not good for a tier 10 tank destroyer. What this thing does have is real big boy ammunition. The armor-piercing rounds on this tank have 303mm of penetration. The high-explosive anti-tank rounds have 395mm of penetration. And the high-explosive rounds, well, they also pack 90mm of penetration with 1100 alpha damage. And that means that you can splash them on tanks, but if you can even manage to pen them, the idea of being able to have 1100 alpha damage is absolutely staggering. Intuition can't be a YouTube video without mentioning intuition around here. Just scales so darn well on this tank. As soon as you have vents, as soon as you have brothers in arms, as soon as you have a premium consumable, then it allows you to do outrageous things. And good try, Kranvang, I was counting your shells. I know you're not loaded, I know you're loading, and he was trying to fake it because he doesn't want me to come around the corner and clamp them. I guess I was a little bit lucky in that situation, that I didn't get shot by the T-30, and I'm just thinking about how I'm going to duel a tank that is kind of similar to me at tier 9. i.e. it's got 750 alpha damage, and it kind of blurs the line between a tank destroyer and a heavy tank, which is why the T-30 is just such a fun one to play, and why the 268 version 5 is also great fun to play as well. Oh, I bounced the gold round from the T-30 and managed to go through their armor, and I'm just hoping that the 263 is going to be able to get a shot on him as he comes around the corner, and I'll be able to finish them off, because I'm not going to be doing 1000 damage, that's for sure. So the 263 pens, and I land the second shot. And these tanks are just so darn flexible. They're just so darn fast as well. If you get a turbo on this thing, its reverse speed is like about 17 or 18 kilometers an hour. If you're using the Bond turbo, you're actually going to have 19 kilometers an hour. Although I do end up using a field mod, I believe, that reduces the reverse speed a little bit on this tank, and I think it pumps up the camo rating on the vehicle, or I'm a little bit new to this tank. I can mouse over here and it can actually tell me, yes, 2 kilometers an hour backwards are lost for 5% concealment. The concealment that you can achieve on this thing, once you've managed to get all of the field mods on it, is just under 30% when you're moving, and that is outrageous. As you will have seen in my preview on this tank, there were moments where I was able to hide in, shall we say, quite thin bushes or even knock down trees in positions that other heavy tanks would get spotted in, and you just don't expect such a flexible tank with a fully traversable turret to be able to just get into those kind of situations. So I kind of hesitated a little bit there against the Gorilla because I was worried I was going to get spotted, and that should be an easy 750 damage, but oh dear, QQQ. I didn't reload high explosive rounds there because I just didn't feel like I had the time to. And I'm not sure if the Gorilla spotted me there, or alternatively an SU-130 PM spotted me, and there they are. Now I'm just going to fire the armor piercing round here. If I was to fire a high explosive round, I would be able to kill them half the time, but I was just so worried about artillery or the Gorilla that I just wanted to get the shot out, and I didn't feel like I could waste those extra 2 to 3 seconds, because right now this game is still pretty close. It's definitely changing very quickly indeed, with my team on the west managing to take out a vehicle or two, and now the hit points are starting to look a lot closer than they were, and with that artillery shell landing on the SU-130 PM, I'm starting to feel a lot more confident in this game. And we're up to just shy of 8,000 damage in this 9-minute round, and now I've loaded the high explosive rounds to hopefully manage to catch that full health Gorilla. Where are they? Where are they? The only thing that I will mention about this tank is I've sacrificed the view range to be able to achieve DPM and mobility. But look at what we're achieving with DPM and mobility here. 1,186 damage dealt to the Gorilla, pushing our damage total over 9,000, even with not the best marksmanship in this game. I will fully admit, I aimed like a power scrub at times. But what we were able to achieve by playing like a heavy tank compared to playing like a tank destroyer at the back of the map in the form of the Griller was just truly outrageous. And I have to admit, I maybe was just a little bit disappointed with myself here that I didn't quite manage to hit a 5-figure damage total. I was hoping for it. Maybe if I'd hit the HE shell, maybe if my team hadn't been so proficient at finishing off the self-propelled guns at the end of the game, I would have finally managed to hit 5 figures, something which I've never been able to do in World of Tanks. I've come very close in a Jagdpanzer V100 and a Waffenträger LV100, and I was hoping that within the first few days of owning this tank, or I think this was the day after I managed to get it inside the auction, that it would have been this vehicle, you know, probably one of the lower DPM tank destroyers, but one of by far the most flexible and sneaky tank destroyers in the game that would have pushed my damage record just a little bit higher. This thing is just an absolute monster. I knew it would be, which is why I made sure I got up at some godforsaken hour. 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. is what it would have been back in the UK. I think it was about 6:45 here, where I'm currently in Minsk. And the competitive bid for this tank, I think, was up to about 640,000, which is why I decided to go just under 700k with the last 10 minutes remaining, so I could be guaranteed to get this vehicle, because it's one that I didn't want to miss. And I can tell you, if this thing appears in the future, it's definitely one that you should consider picking up if you aren't getting absolutely fleeced for it. And at the end of the day, how you decide to spend your money, maybe you're a player who's been playing since the beginning of the game like I have, and now you've got all of the tanks unlocked and you've got nothing left to spend your free experience on. I didn't actually ever convert any gold to be able to get this tank. I've been simply using free experience boosters and taking advantage of the slot bonuses over the Christmas event to be able to boost up free experience. And you can make at least 10 or 20 or even 50,000 free experience a month just by playing that. And sure, well, when you think about it, I kind of dumped about 15 months worth of free experience saving on this tank. Let's hope that this truly was a one-off and not something that Wargaming are going to be repeating in the future. This whole free experience auction and the idea that Wargaming might be trying to push for ways for you to spend your free experience in the future definitely concerns me in a way, because it's okay when it's a one-off and we've got years between the auctions. But if it becomes a case where everybody's having to spend their gold to convert their free experience just so they can be able to afford these tanks and not really for collectors who are grinding as they go along, it might definitely change the economics of it. I can only guess what Wargaming are planning. It all remains to be seen. One thing's for certain, though. Was this thing worth the 700,000 free experience for me? Personally, for me, it was. I'm really enjoying this tank. And as somebody who's a collector of all of the vehicles, I'd far rather spend the equivalent of 20,000 gold of converted free experience on this tank than spend 20,000 gold on something like the WZ-111 Qilin. So I was relieved to finally get my ace tanker for the Object 268 version 5 for 1,412 base experience. Relieved because sometimes it can be quite hard in tier 10 TDs to be able to get ace tankers, especially ones like these that aren't for general release. And a high caliber for the 9,181 damage that we dealt, over 3 times what anyone else on our team was able to achieve. And we made a good profit here because I've been putting this tank inside the holiday ops event slots, and so I've been making 50% extra credits while playing this thing, although that is very quickly going to end. And after that, I think if I continue to resupply premium consumables, I'm definitely not going to be making a profit in this tank. Anyway, ladies and gents, boys and girls, that was it for today. Hope you enjoyed this video on the 700,000 free experience tank. I understand that some people got it for 500, but some people like me are obviously a little bit of a mug and wanted to make sure they absolutely wanted to get it. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. If you hated it, give it a thumbs down. And if you're watching this video as it goes live on Friday and you're playing on the European server, then I've got some drops for you. I'm going to be live streaming all day on twitch.tv/QuickyBaby. And if you're trying to get Tank Wars points, you can come and tune in and get 25 Tank Wars points. But I'd like to clarify it's for EU only, which is a real shame because it's a fun event. And I think that it'd be cool if the NA server had something like this as well. And make sure you let me know in the comments what you think about the Object 268 version 5. Were you lucky enough to be able to get one? What do you think about the tank? Have you seen a lot of them on the battlefield? Have they been doing well? Have they been doing poorly? And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.